Hey everybody, if you are one of my subscribers, you're probably wondering what we're doing on the inside. Normally we're outside and talking about these guys. Well, it's 14 degrees below zero this morning, so I thought inside's got to be a lot better than outside, and we have a subject to talk about. We can do it from the inside, and that is a battery. And you're probably wondering why a battery. Well, stick with me and we'll get to it. This is the Watt Cycle 12 volt 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery. Now, I've spent a lot of time and a lot of video watching to figure out which one of these I wanted. I've wanted one for a long time, so I spent a lot of time reviewing them on videos. I wanted quality at a decent price. That was the two things I was really looking for. And finally, with Watt Cycle, I think I finally found what I wanted. So I bought this 12 volt, and it's a trolling motor battery. Now, I know, okay, we're not into fishing. Well, stick with me, you'll find out. The main reason I wanted this is power outages. We all have power outages. If you're like me, you live in the country, we probably end up with more power outages than people that live in the city. Now, I looked at what they call solar generators. And basically, it's a large power unit. You can plug it in the wall, charge up a battery inside. It's got everything built in, the inverter, the charging stations, the battery banks, and everything like that. Some of them go, there's a Jackery, Blue Eddy, a lot of other names. And I looked at those things, and they are nice. I have to admit, they're very nice. But they can also cost $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So the cost gets pretty prohibitive. They're also fairly large. When you get one big enough to do what you want, they're fairly large, they're fairly heavy. But the problem I had with them is they spend 99% of the time sitting around your house waiting for the power to go out. I don't want to tie up $1,000 for something I'm going to sit in the closet and wait to see if the power goes out. But at the same time, if the power goes out, I want something that can give me some power. Well, my answer is putting things together, and it starts with a lithium iron phosphate battery. So why did I choose a battery like this versus a solar generator? Well, the first thing is I needed a trolling motor battery, but I needed a battery that I could use in my trolling motor. I can bring it in the house for power outages, and I can take it all around the property and use it as a power source in multiple places. So basically, instead of buying a solar generator that sits around 99% of the time not being used, I'm buying something and I'm using it constantly. I'm using it all the time. As far as the trolling motor battery, what did I like about that? First, I can take it down to 80% of its draw. Where a standard lead acid battery, about 40% is the most you want to take them down. Here I can double that, take it all the way down to 20%. I'm not going to damage the battery. Secondly, I've got a little two-man bass boat. Well, I have two boats, a bigger one and a small one. But when I take the little one, I got to carry the battery down and put it in the boat. And if you've dealt with lead acid batteries, trolling motor batteries especially, you know how heavy they are. This battery, on the other hand, weighs 23 pounds. It weighs about half of what your standard batteries would weigh for a trolling motor. Another neat feature, Bluetooth. All right, I'm going to go out. I'm going to take a battery out. I'm going to put it in my trolling motor to go fishing. Or I use a 12 volt battery on my electric fence system. All right. Did I charge this last? Is it charged up? I don't know. Well, tell you what. Let's take a look. We'll open up an app. We'll find our battery on here. We'll open it up and we'll find out. Yep, there's my battery. It's at a 100% charge. It's got over 13 volts. So that means it's fully charged. It's ready to go. With Bluetooth, you always know your battery's in good shape. So that's why I thought this was going to be good. I can turn this in to a portable power station, use it just like the solar generators, but by the time I'm done, it'll cost a lot less, and it's something I can continue to use all the time rather than just sitting in the closet waiting for the power to go out. All right, let's talk about this power outage that we're getting ready for, why we want a battery or a solar generator or whatever. First, the big solar generators, they'll run your refrigerator, freezer, whatever. Will this do that? Yes, it will. We're not going to do that today. Down the line, I'll show you some of the things it can use in another video, but for today, I'm just going to tell you, yes, that will handle your refrigerator if you need it. But there's the key. Do you need it? I mean, I've watched a ton of videos on these or solar generators, whatever, and it's always, how long can my refrigerator run? Well, my question is, how long is your power out? Now, I know there's times that last you for days. This summer, not more than a 30-minute drive from here, people were out of power for a week. But what's your average power outage? 2 hours? 4? 6? I'd have to say, living here, and I've been here for, 15, 16 years in this location, my longest power outage was 17 hours. All right, and I can think of a 12-hour, and I can think of tons of 2, 4, 6-hour power outages. Do I need to power up my fridge if I got a 2-hour power outage? No, I don't need that. We all know if you leave the fridge closed, don't open the door, it could last 10, 12, 14, 16 hours or more with no problem, just with the power being off that long. So clearly, if I've only got a 2, 4, 6-hour power outage, I don't need to really power up my fridge that much. It'd be nice if I could, but I don't really have to do it the majority of the time. So why do I need it? All right, power went out. Here we go, power's out. There's some things I'd like. And you know what? Within 30 seconds to a minute, what are you gonna hear? Mom, Dad, the internet's down. Well, yeah, the power's out. Well, I don't have any internet. Now what am I gonna do? Well, we can solve that. We can solve that really simply, and just with this. You almost need nothing more than this, and you can handle that. And what you do, and you can go to any store around you want, is a cigarette lighter adapter. That's all you need. Walmart, any big box store, you know, Menards, Home Depot, Lowe's, anything like that, auto parts stores, they all handle these, and it's probably $5, $6. You need one of these. The next thing you need, this is an inverter. Now, this is a 140 watt inverter, and I've had this thing for quite a few years. All right, I use this a lot, or I have used this a lot, and basically it just plugs in the cigarette lighter adapter, and now I have 140 watts of power. Now, I have to admit, just lately, since I bought the battery, I bought a new one. And this one is now 200 watts of power. It's got 2 plug-ins on it. It also has USB, and you can charge your phone or other stuff like that. And it basically works the same way. And you say, well, okay, that's 200 watts. I'm not going to run my fridge. No, you're not. But you know what? Get an extension cord, and you can run your modem and your router, and you have internet. You can charge up your phone, which you didn't charge up before the power went out, and your laptop. So there's a lot of small things you can that makes your life so much more convenient. Give me an example. Desk lamp. Here's a nice little desk lamp. It's a clamp on one. I thought I needed some extra light. I wasn't real smart when I bought it, okay? Give me a break. Guess what? You don't plug it in the wall. It's USB. You plug it into USB, and then you have a desk lamp. Well, with this, I can plug in my lamp. I have some light, and that's an LED. That's going to use very little power. And that, just in case, make you think about it a little differently, here is a hand warmer by Zippo. Now, if you live down south, I don't have one of these. If you ice fish or you're out in the winter, nice little button, turn the button on, you got a hand warmer, keep your hands warm. Works really well in the wintertime. But you know what it also works as? It's a power source. Little things like that can run things that you want when the power's out. All right? So you don't have to, well, is that going to run my refrigerator? I don't care. I don't need it to run the refrigerator. You know what I want? I want the router and the modem so I have my internet. I want to be able to charge my phone if I forgot to charge that up, charge my laptop, charge my iPad, or run any of that kind of stuff. And more importantly for me, it's winter. All right, now I've got electric heaters in here, but I also have a wood stove kind of sitting back behind you don't see. Now, I have a small fan, 8-inch fan. I guess you buy at the store, they call it a desk fan. It's something you can put to blow on you to help keep you cool. I set it behind the wood stove to circulate the warm air through the house when it's cold. And like I said, this morning it was 14 below. So when power goes out, and that's where I've used this with this little adapter that I showed you before. I brought in my old trolling motor battery and I'd set it down by the stove and I'd plug this in and I would run my fan and would help keep my house warm when there was a power outage in the winter. So the question is that we're going to answer in this video. How long can I run my fan on this battery? How long is it going to last? Will it last for an entire, if the power was out for 8 or 10 hours, can I run that 8-inch fan with this battery? Well, that's what we're going to show you. And by the way, I looked, that fan pulls 30 watts. So it's going to take 30 watts of power. So either of these will easily handle it. We're going to use my new one because I got my new one. I want to use my new one. But either way, either of those will handle a 30-watt fan, no problem. Let me get things hooked up, move you around, and I'll show you how we're going to keep the house warm when the power's out. Okay, here we are. Got set up by the stove. I got my battery down. I put the cigarette lighter adapter. So let's plug that in. I got a green light, so we're operational here. So I'm gonna unplug my fan. On here, if you're interested anyway, I had this on a timer. That way, if it's overnight, if I don't want the fan on overnight, I can set it to run for 6 or 8 hours and it goes off in the middle of the night. But for now, we're going to put it constant. There we go. There's our fan going. So let's take a look at our battery quick. See where we stand. There we are, 100% charge. And now, how much of it's going out? We got 20. You look right below the 100% there to the right side, and you can see a minus 20. That shows that there are 20 watts presently going out of the battery. So how long is it going to last? Well, I'll be back in a while. We'll let you know. Good morning, everybody. Well, this morning it's not quite as bad as it has been. A couple days ago we were -5 in the morning. Yesterday we were 14 below zero in the morning. This morning it's just a little bit above zero, so it's getting a little bit better. But hey, if you got livestock, you got to go out and do the chores no matter what. But the main thing I wanted to bring up about the below zero temperatures with the lithium batteries, they do not like the cold any better than we do. At -4 degrees Fahrenheit, they just won't work. They will not run when it's 4 below zero. You can warm them up, and that's fine, they'll run again, but they just don't run when it's that cold. Also, when it comes to charging those batteries, it's below 32 degrees, you cannot charge them or you will damage them. Now, some batteries, such as the trolling motor battery I have, has a thermal shut-off protector. And that basically means it'll shut itself off if it's below 32, you can't charge it. Warm it back up, you can charge it again. But without that thermal shut-off protector, you can damage the battery trying to charge it up when it's below freezing. All right, it has been 24 hours with that fan by the wood stove on the battery. Let's go in and find out how far we've brought it down. All right, guys, it's been 24 hours. How we doing? 24 hours for that battery running a 30 watt, well, fan that's drawing about 20 watts. So let's get the app up, see where we stand. Well, 24 hours later, we are at now 67% charge. We're down about a third. Here's one thing I want you to take note of. Look at the voltage. Just down below the circle, we're still pulling 13.1 volts. Most 12 volt batteries, They don't, they never make it there. They're pulling 12. We've ran this for 24 hours and we're still pulling 13.1 volts in the battery. That shows you how that battery will continue on without a big voltage drop. That's how you can get so much power out of these things for such a long period of time. Well, you know what? It's been 24. Let's let her run. Let's see what happens. Be back a little bit. We're back. Now, I know it doesn't seem that long for you guys, but for me, it's been another 24 hours. We've been running that battery on that fan now for 48 hours, and it is still running strong. So let's get out the app, and let's see what the app tells us. Well, there we go. After 48 hours running that fan, we still have a 36% charge. So we run it down just a little over 60%. As I said earlier, we could take these down to 80%, so we could keep running if we needed to. But at this point, I think we've probably proved what it's going to do. One thing I want you to note real quick before I shut this down, below that circle, take a look, there's a number, 12.95. That's the voltage. This battery is still pulling 12.95 volts. We started a little over 13, and now after all this time, we're still pulling almost 13 volts of power. So that's a pretty good deal right there for being able to pull that little voltage off that battery in 48 hours. So again, I think we've shown if you need the router, modem, small lights, a fan. Hey, if it's summertime, you might have it run that fan to cool you off because you can't run your air conditioning. We mentioned router and modem. What if you have Starlink? I believe Starlink will pull about 100 watts when you're really using it, but I think it's only about 45 or 50 when it's kind of idle. So clearly, again, this battery would run Starlink for quite a few hours. And again, we aren't talking a long power outage in this video. We're talking 2, 4, 6, 8 hours, something like that. Down the line, and it won't be the next video, but if you want more videos to know more about these batteries and this type of stuff, you might want to like, subscribe if you would, because we're going to cover more of this. And down the line, in a couple of videos from now, we're going to build a portable power supply. Just going to be a small, simple box, a battery, an inverter, and I might put in a couple little doodads that I want to put in. But the important part of it is it's a battery box and a power supply that we can take anywhere we want on the property. All right? As I mentioned, the solar generators weigh a lot. You can't take them around. The battery, the box, the inverter, and everything when I'm done, I think should probably weigh about 30 pounds. So if you can pick up a 50-pound bag of chicken feed or horse feed or sheep feed or goat feed and carry that to the barn, you can easily carry this box around any part on your property and use it for a power supply. And now with that box, because of the inverter we're going to put in it, now do you need to run a refrigerator? You can do it. Even your coffee maker or your microwave, they will work on a bigger power supply. All right, if you're interested in this battery, go down in the description. There is a link to the battery. All right, take a look at that. I'll tell you what, I don't think you'll regret it with the watt cycle batteries. I think they're great. Hey, see you in a couple weeks.